Earlier this evening, Julia Gillard came to see me and has requested a ballot for the leadership of the Labor Party. As a result of that request, I will be writing to the Secretary of the Caucus to convene a special meeting of the caucus at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's important, I believe, in the interest of the party and the government for these matters to be resolved as a matter of urgency. I was elected by the people of Australia as Prime Minister of Australia. I was elected to do a job. I intend to continue doing that job. I intend to continue doing it to the absolute best of my ability. Part of that job has been to steer this country through the worst economic crisis the world has seen in 75 years. I believe the government has acquitted itself well to that task. Part of the reason the government was elected was to deliver fundamental reforms in the health and hospital system. I believe the government has acquitted itself well to that task as well. Part of what the government was elected to do was also to deliver fairer outcome for pensioners in Australia. And I believe we've done that well by increasing the pension to the extent that we have. These are important reforms: infrastructure, education, health, hospitals, closing the gap with Indigenous Australians. Also, the apology to the First Australians. As Prime Minister of the country, I'm proud of each and every one of these achievements. There is much more to be done, and we intend to get on with the job of doing it. It's become apparent to me in the course of the last period of time, the last several weeks, that a number of factional leaders within the Labor Party no longer support my leadership. That is why it is imperative that this matter be resolved. I, therefore, will be contesting the leadership of the party and, therefore, the government tomorrow at that ballot. I think it's important for stability for the government and the party this occur. As I said before, it's far better these things are done quickly rather than be strung out over a period of time. I'd say one or two other things as well. If I am returned as the leader of the party and the government and as Prime Minister, then I will be very clear about one thing. This party and government will not be lurching to the right on the question of asylum seekers, as some have counselled us to do. Also, on the question of climate change, we'll be moving to a timetable on emissions trading which is of the government's decision, contrary to the views of some, in terms of when that best occurs. These are important reforms for the future. There is much work still to be done. Right now, obviously, we're in the midst of a debate on the future of the taxation system. This is a hard debate which has been waged in previous times as well. Tax reform is never easy. A lot of paint's been taken off the government on the way through. It's also been difficult for previous governments engaged in the business of hard reform. We don't resile from that challenge. However, this obviously has created some challenges and tensions within our party. And I mentioned before, having lost the support of certain factional leaders. Therefore, it's time to get on with the business of resolving this as quickly as possible. There's a national interest at stake. I conclude with where I began. I was elected by the people of Australia to do a job. I was not elected by the factional leaders of Australia, of the Australian Labor Party, to do a job, though they may be seeking to do a job on me. That's a separate matter. The challenge, therefore, is to honour the mandate given to me by the Australian people. We've made mistakes on the way through. I've been very upfront about that. But in navigating this economy through the worst crisis the world has seen and keeping hundreds of thousands of Australians in jobs who would otherwise be on the unemployment queues, of that I am fundamentally proud.